How's it going, everybody? It's Milwaukee coming back at you once again, and today we're going to be discussing Batgirl, The Darkest Reflection by Gail Simone, with art by Ardian Syaf. Let's get into it. Batgirl freezes when a villain known as the Mirror points a gun at her. Commissioner Gordon learns that Batgirl is back on the scene. Batgirl investigates the Mirror. Nightwing checks up on Batgirl, and Batgirl takes out the Mirror. As she gets back to her apartment, just in time for a visit from dear old Mom. Batgirl takes out a new villain named Gretel, and also has to deal with a mind-controlled Bruce Wayne. Batman and Batgirl team up to put Gretel away. As far as some positives for this book, I really enjoyed how Gail Simone presented Batgirl as a character who is vulnerable, especially to her male villains. She was always talking about how, the Mirror, she couldn't outpower him, so she had to outsmart him, outthink him, which is refreshing in this age of yes, she can girl power. I think the concept for the villain, the Mirror, is a cool concept. He's a guy who survived a car accident and his family died and he wanted to die with them, but he was saved. So he goes around Gotham hunting down people who should be dead but aren't, and he kills them. And he has this whole mirror motif where he opens up his cape and there's mirrors in there so he can show people their true selves. Really great concept. Another thing I really enjoyed about this book is Batgirl going up against the mind-controlled Bruce Wayne. We learned that Bruce Wayne was actually faking the mind control because the cameras were on. He couldn't reveal that he was, Batman and had, fighting skills. But the inner monologue going on here, the lessons that Bruce was teaching Batgirl inadvertently, even though she didn't realize it at the time, I really thought it was great stuff. Especially since Batgirl, she's back on the street. These are like her first missions back ever since she got out of the wheelchair, and she needed the confidence boost. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this story that you don't really think about when it comes to the Bat family, but it's the wealth disparity. You kind of just always assume, that Bruce is fronting things. He's got the money for everybody for their costumes and their gadgets and their vehicles and all this stuff. But here in this book, it shows that, Barbara Gordon, being a member of the Gordon family, she's kind of living off of, her dad's salary. And the Gordons, they're not exactly wealthy. So, she goes off and she gets her own apartment and she's job hunting and stuff. But it was really, brought to my attention for the first time that, hey, wait a minute, not all of these characters are rich. There's even a line in here later on when she's fighting Dick Grayson about how it feels to have all that money or something. Or maybe I'm getting confused with another story. Either way, it was the first time it was pointed out, and it really made me think. It probably makes you think too, if you read the story. Because it's like, how's Batgirl doing all this on a budget? Now, as for some negatives here, while I appreciated, Gail Simone and her writing, and that she's writing, Batgirl, who's a female character, so we're getting a true female perspective, there was a couple of instances here where she wrote Batgirl like she was an old lady. There's one scene that stands out in particular, where Batgirl, she's going to the hospital, she takes her her bat cycle into the elevator, and it's like an awkward moment. She's in the elevator with a hospital orderly or whatever, and Batgirl says, "Would you be a lamb and hit the button for me?" And I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I haven't heard that type of speak since I was with my grandma, and she was offering me a Werther's original. So a little too old for a teenage girl to be saying. I don't know. What's your take on that? Another thing that I didn't really like about the story is the fact that the second villain and the second story arc, Gretel, she's a female character, so at the end of the story, Batgirl, she takes her to the police, and she's like, go easy on her, she's had a hard time, she's misunderstood, and it's this whole thing that female villains aren't really in charge of their actions. There's always some man behind their actions. Nobody gave a shit about the Mirror when he was getting locked up or whatever happened to him, right? But Gretel, you got to handle her with kid gloves. Make sure she goes to, the comfortable wing of Arkham Asylum. Another thing that I didn't really care for in the story is, Batgirl fighting Nightwing. You guys know, if you've been following the channel, I'm not a huge fan of hero versus hero fights, and this one was especially bad. Although you could say it was Nightwing testing Batgirl, because remember, she's out of the wheelchair for the first time, and she's a little shaky going up against these villains. So he was just shadowing her and monitoring her to see how she was doing. But she did not appreciate that. But, whatever. Just an action scene for the sake of an action scene, I guess. Also, Barbara Gordon's roommate, she can be a bit cringe, like, at all times. Uh, you've been warned. Now, I do want to take a moment here to talk about the elephant in the room, right? The wheelchair situation, for years, ever since the 80s, right? When Joker paralyzed Barbara, she's been known as the Oracle. She's been, sort of telling, the Bat family where to go through their headpieces or whatever. Super smart, using a brain, whatever. And here in the New 52, they took her out of the wheelchair, and for some reason, that's a big controversy because all, I guess the wheelchair readers out there, Barbara Gordon was like their favorite character or something. The way they explain it is she went to like a specialized clinic down in South Africa, got experimental surgery, and now she's fine. She's not like 100% fine. She's still nervous, like when she gets punched, or like when the villain pointed the gun at her, she froze because it was like the Joker. So she's still haunted by the Joker and what he did to her, and she's still a little bit on shaky legs, if you will. Not really confident, not where she needs to be, and that's what a lot of the story deals with. But as far as the wheelchair stuff, I really don't care. I kind of hope they would have just moved on from it instead of bringing it up over and over and over again. But then again, let me know what you guys think about the whole wheelchair thing. Is it a controversy to you, or do you not care? Also, Gail Simone puts a little bit of her politics into this book. She has Batgirl talk, bad about capitalism and capitalists or whatever. Just pointing that out. So anyway, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give Batgirl The Darkest Reflection a 3 out of 5. Pretty enjoyable story. The first story arc was the strongest in my opinion. The second one kind of fell off. But it's a good start, a good reintroduction to this character. I'm looking forward to see where she goes next. Until next time, I'll see you there.